Curtis Blaydes versus Derrick Lewis takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC Fight Night Vegas 15, Blaydes versus Lewis, and I can't wait for this heavyweight matchup. You've got two streaking heavyweight contenders, each riding win streaks of their own. They're going to meet in the main event this weekend. One of those win streaks has to stop this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. Curtis Blaydes riding a 4-fight win streak right now in the heavyweight division. 2 years ago, he lost his second fight to Francis Ngannou, where it's basically his 1.5 fight against Francis Ngannou, because the first one was a doctor stoppage and he was doing quite well in that fight, got himself a couple of takedowns, but he lost the second one, wasn't in a good position in his career, so had to grind his way back up, and that's exactly what Curtis Blaydes has done over the past 2 years. He got himself a big win against Justin Willis, who isn't the best guy in the division, don't get me wrong, but it's still a win to put him back in the win column. Then he got another win against Shamil Abdurakhimov back in October, UFC 242, Khabib versus Poirier, big win there on the main card, really got some momentum behind him again and earned himself a main event slot against Junior Dos Santos at UFC Raleigh in January at the beginning of this year. Put on a great performance there and got himself another finish after the Shamil Abdurakhimov fight. Looked really, really good. Then had a performance not too long ago, I believe it was in June or July, against Alexander Volkov, another main event of a fight night, and he looked amazing once again. Not the most entertaining bout in the world, don't get me wrong, and a lot of people were on to Curtis Blaydes about not having the best bout in the world. I mean, even Dana White said he looked like an idiot and looked foolish for saying that he wanted a title shot after that performance. So Dana White really came down heavy on him. Wasn't the most entertaining fight in the world, but it was a very good fight to see Curtis Blaydes be able to do that to Alexander Volkov. Regardless of the entertainment factor, you've got to take away the information that you see there. He took down Alexander Volkov at will in those first 3 rounds, and something I really want to mention in that Alexander Volkov fight that I feel like no one really talks about is how good Curtis Blaydes' stand-up has looked. In the JDS fight, it looked really good, but he didn't really have the footwork involved, but he had really nice hands in the JDS fight and ended up finishing the fight on the feet with his hands. But in the Alexander Volkov fight, the footwork was good. He was darting in and out. He looked very light on his feet. He looked like he had good cardio in the first few rounds. Then eventually the 4th and 5th came around and he got a little bit tired, but he shot 14 takedowns and got 14 takedowns. So I feel like we can give him some kind of respect. Same with Alexander Volkov. He got up that many times as well. Made it a difficult fight for Curtis Blaydes and never really let Blaydes control him, but Volkov can do that on the ground. He's a big guy. I mean, even Fabricio Verdum wasn't able to get him to the ground, and we've seen Verdum topple over Alexander Gustafsson and make it look easy. The same thing he did with Walt Harris as well around a similar time. Fabricio Verdum can really do things in the grappling, and Volkov has shown time and time again he's got great takedown defense, and Curtis Blaydes was able to do his grappling game on him and also quite hang with him on the feet until the 4th and 5th round. Now he has those 5 rounds of experience. I think it's going to answer a lot of questions in this Derrick Lewis fight. I mean, it's already answered some of our questions that we could have for this Derrick Lewis fight, which is how is Curtis Blaydes' cardio. He has that confidence of going 5 rounds before, and he's carrying that directly into this bout with Derrick Lewis, who's on a 3-fight win streak right now. As I said, both guys on win streaks in the heavyweight division. I'm sure we can agree that they're on different kinds of win streaks. I think I can say that quite honestly. Derrick Lewis has wins over guys like Blaydes. After his loss to Junior Dos Santos, he got TKO'd there, and then he lost to Daniel Cormier by rear naked choke and just got sort of toppled over at UFC 230, but he was injured and it was on short notice, so whatever. It was a bit of a weird style up. It was a bit of a weird matchup anyway, the way they made it. Like 230, I think they announced Shevchenko versus Carmouche as the main event, or I think, no, it was Shevchenko versus Eubanks. Ciara Eubanks as the main event of 230, and the fans booed it so hard that they had to change and recover with a new main event, and they found DC versus Derrick Lewis, and it's a good fight, man. But they made it. He lost his chance at the title, then lost to Junior Dos Santos, but again, he's on the 3-fight win streak. Blaydes could have gone either way. Ilir Latifi could have gone either way. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm not willing to say they were robberies. I know a lot of people say they're controversial decisions. I think they're just decisions that could go either way, in all honesty. And I feel like they were at also a time when you look at those Latifi and Ivanov fights, Derrick Lewis was fighting those guys at a time when the change of rules was just kind of beginning. I feel like now that I've watched them back recently this week and yesterday as well, I watched them back, I can see how they give it to Derrick Lewis purely because the way the judging has changed over about 6 months has been ridiculous. I mean, they've taken more and more meaning away from grappling as time has gone on, and that's where Derrick Lewis was losing those fights against Blaydes and Ilir Latifi. It really is all about damage. So now when I watch them back, I can see them for Derrick Lewis. At the time of watching them, I thought, oh my god, this could be a bit of a weird decision. Maybe that guy could have got it with a grappling control. But looking at it now with the rule change, I can see how they gave it to Derrick Lewis, because at the start it was a bit of a shock to the fans. A lot of decisions happening a bit weirdly because they didn't value the takedowns quite as much. This was around the same time as the Marlon Vera Song Yadong fight as well, by the way. So there was a lot of fights that were very strange at the time because we didn't realise that they had just changed the rules to mean, hey, we don't give a fuck about grappling. This is kickboxing, not MMA. That's apparently how the judges function nowadays. But still, I mean, we saw it with Kraus versus Giles. Kraus had his back for 4 minutes and Giles gets the round for landing like a couple of punch combination at the end of the first round. I mean, it was crazy at the time, and that was on the same card as Derrick Lewis versus Blaydes. But still, he came back and wins against Alexei Oleinik. It was a good fight against Oleinik. It was a good performance. He got taken down and manhandled again, which I don't like because it's a recurring theme in every single one of his recent wins, and I feel like that's where Curtis Blaydes is going to have a huge advantage here. I think he's going to topple over Derrick Lewis whenever he wants. I think he's going to mix in the stand-up first, and I think that's going to be a good chance for Curtis Blaydes to show his fight IQ, because if he goes out there and just dives for takedowns against Derrick Lewis, sure, he could get them, but his chances are a lot lower. If he goes out there light on his feet like he was against Volkov, and I'm so glad we saw that version of Curtis Blaydes against Volkov because it's given me more confidence that he's going to go out there and beat Derrick Lewis. When you see his performance against Alexander Volkov, I like it on the feet. You know, he's light on his feet, footwork in and out. I think he could go out there and outstrike Derrick Lewis. Now, of course, the chances of a one-punch KO are more likely in favour of Derrick Lewis, but I don't think Curtis Blaydes is going to be out there getting outstruck, because he wasn't getting outstruck by Alexander Volkov in the early rounds. I know Volkov's thinking about the takedown, but Volkov was toying with Derrick Lewis in those rounds. Curtis Blaydes is a really good striker. He doesn't do it majority of the time, but he went out there and outstruck Junior Dos Santos, got the KO. I know he ate a couple of shots, but he couldn't get JDS to the ground. JDS has pretty good takedown defense, but he landed some big shots on the feet, eventually getting the finish. We saw what happened with Derrick Lewis and Junior Dos Santos. I just feel as though the stand-up advantage is going to be all Curtis Blaydes. But those times in every single fight where we see Derrick Lewis shell up against the cage against someone who's putting together some offense on him, then he'll shell up against the cage and look to wind up his big shot, where Volkov is going to be there still picking at Derrick Lewis. I think Curtis Blaydes is going to see that Lewis is shelling up and just go fuck this like he did against Overeem, double leg him straight to the canvas and ride out the rest of the round each time. I think there's going to be about a minute of stand up every single round. Then he's going to shoot for a takedown as soon as he gets Derrick Lewis against the cage after landing a couple of good shots, mix in the takedown, have Derrick Lewis second-guessing himself for throwing those big bombs. And I don't see Derrick Lewis getting up the same way that he did against Latifi, Ivanov and Oleinik against a big 6'4", bigger than him man in the heavyweight division that's a massive athlete that's very good at controlling guys on the ground. I don't see Derrick Lewis just rising up like he did against light heavyweight Latifi and Oleinik, who's not the biggest guy for the heavyweight division as well. And I don't even think it's about size as in mass. There's an advantage to length that Curtis Blaydes has here, because Alexei Oleinik, he's a big guy. So is Blagoy Ivanov, but it's very different weight. I'm sure we can all agree with you. I'm sure we can all agree here. You know what I'm saying? Ivanov has very different weight areas on his body than Curtis Blaydes does. And I feel like because Curtis Blaydes has that athletic body type, he can really spread his weight out across Derrick Lewis in half guard, put his shoulders over the top of Derrick Lewis, and don't let Derrick Lewis just pop right up like he was able to do against other guys. And not to mention, I mean, the illegal shots to Alexei Oleinik. Hopefully they don't happen in this fight against Curtis Blaydes, but he landed so many illegal blows to the back of Oleinik's head, and the referee just watched it and did nothing. Like, it was a weird situation, I'll be honest with you guys, but he gets the job done. I'm somewhat glad he got it done because I like Derrick Lewis. I just think he's going to lose this one. I mean, you look at the stats all across the board, strikes landed per minute. Curtis Blaydes 3.55 to Lewis's 2.64. Of course, Lewis is a bit more of a power puncher, but I feel like the volume and the feints of Blaydes are going to come into effect in this fight. Then you've got the striking accuracy, 53% to Blaydes, 50% for Lewis. Again, Blaydes throws a lot of feints as well, so that striking accuracy is probably not too accurate itself, I'll be honest with you. Strikes absorbed, Lewis absorbs more strikes per minute. Defense, Curtis Blaydes 57 to 44%. Takedowns per 15 minutes, Derrick Lewis 0.54, Curtis Blaydes 7 nearly, 6.98. I mean, he just goes for so many. I think that was mainly skewered by his performance against Alexander Volkov, but I'm definitely not going to pick Curtis Blaydes by submission. I don't see that one happening. Derrick Lewis just seems to be at times too big to submit. You know what I'm saying? Like, unless you're DC and you're a bit smaller, I guess, and you can just get on his back and sort of sink in a choke with your short arms right around the neck. I just feel like sometimes Derrick Lewis, for these other big guys, is just too big and awkward to submit because his neck is just covered in so many layers that Olenek couldn't finish him with those submission attempts, and is just a weird guy to try and control on the ground because of his size. But I feel like Curtis Blaydes might go out there and get himself a TKO win in the 3rd or 4th round, maybe even standing, but I think it'll probably happen via ground and pound after Derrick Lewis probably gets taken down after getting rocked on the feet and shelling up. Blaydes yanks out the legs from underneath him and goes to work on some ground and pound in the 3rd and 4th round. I don't like the cardio of Derrick Lewis in this one. He looked really gassed out in all 3 of his 3-rounders, and I think Curtis Blaydes, even though he looked gassed out against Volkov, that was in a 5-rounder. I'd say they both looked as gassed out as each other. One went 5 rounds, one went 3 rounds, and they fought at different paces as well. I mean, all of Derrick Lewis's fights recently have just been 3 minutes of nothing, and then a minute and a half of chaos, and then 30 seconds of breathing time in the middle of it. Like, it's just, all of Lewis's fights have been a guy on top of him for 3 minutes, gets up, has a breather, and then it's go time for a minute and a half, and he tries to steal the round back. I don't think he's going to be able to get up and have those opportunities against Curtis Blaydes. I think Derrick Lewis's only opportunities on the feet are going to be at the starts of the round. I don't see him getting up in the middle of the round after already being taken down, but I can see him stuffing a takedown and maybe keeping it standing for a minute of each round. But in those minutes of each round, Curtis Blaydes has just had 30 seconds on the... Like, he's just re-energized himself on his stall, and he's coming back out there at the start. He's going to be light on his feet for a second. Then he's going to go for his takedown and ride out the next 4 minutes. So I just think it's going to be a dominance every single round to Curtis Blaydes. Lewis might have some big moments on the feet, but I think Blaydes is going to do good. He's got the reach advantage. He's got the size advantage. He's got the footwork advantage. He keeps range very well. We saw that against Volkov, who's a very long guy for the division. Wasn't really able to sting Curtis Blaydes too many times on the feet early. I think Blaydes is going to go out there, ragdoll him for 2.5 rounds. Then towards the end of the 2nd, or the end of the 3rd, 4th round, I think we're going to see a bit of an exhaustion-based TKO finish for Curtis Blaydes. I don't see him going out there and chinning Derrick Lewis in any way and sending him to the canvas. I just think it's going to be Lewis can't get up anymore. He can't take the shots anymore. Walt Harris, Alistair Overeem style TKO. I don't see Curtis Blaydes letting this even go to the distance. I think if he sees that he has Lewis in trouble at the end of the 3rd round, he's going to remember how tired he was in the 5th against Volkov, and he's going to want to put it on him and get him out of there before having to go to full distance. And I think Curtis Blaydes gets it done, but I will say this. I don't like this, because the winner of this one and Curtis Blaydes, I feel like it's going to be... If Curtis Blaydes wins, he's going to whine about not getting a title shot. Like, you lost to Ngannou twice, dude. Like, it's not on us. You know what I mean? Like, it's not on the UFC that they gave you Ngannou twice and you lost both times. Like, I understand that one of them was a doctor stoppage and you didn't like the stoppage in the other one, even though I thought it was very justified. You got smacked all over the place. Curtis Blaydes is going to call for a title shot, but man... You're making good money, Curtis Blaydes. Keep whooping these good style matchups for yourself, because I get this. If Junior Dos Santos wins his next... not Junior Dos Santos. If Jairzinho Rozenstruik wins his next fight, it might be you versus him next. It might be him versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik right now, to be honest with you. Actually, who is Jairzinho Rozenstruik taking on in the heavyweight division? Did he have a fight signed? Or he just beat Junior Dos Santos. I don't think he has another fight signed in that division, because Volkov just signed to fight Alistair Overeem. So maybe, if Blaydes wins... They just do Blaydes versus Rozenstruik. Just straight away in the next couple of months. Maybe on the same card as Stipe versus Ngannou 2 in March. Who knows? That'd be a good opener of a main card fight. Rozenstruik versus Blaydes. That'd be a very good one, I feel like. But Curtis Blaydes, if you win, you ain't getting a title shot. I know you're going to whine about it. But that's just how it works, man. That guy Ngannou's done more and has beat you along with that more work as well. And he's beaten good guys and KO'd them very impressively in the first round. So I'm going to be going with Ngannou for the title shot in March, of course. But Curtis Blaydes, I'd say try and get on that card with Rosenstruik. And then listen, Stipe and Ngannou. Ngannou's going to have been out for a while. Stipe's going to have been out for a while. Stipe's getting a bit older. Ngannou's a ridiculous athlete that swings really hard in training. Like, there's a chance that they might get injured or get the coronavirus. So if I was Curtis Blaydes, I'd get the finish here in the 3rd or 4th round. I'd call out Jairzinho Rosenstruik for the same card. And I look to fill in as a short notice replacement if anything happens to the title fight. And that's what I'd like to see Curtis Blaydes do. And just make money in the meantime, because Curtis Blaydes gets paid a pretty penny. I'll be honest with you guys. I mean, I don't know how much he got paid in his last fight. I'll just check it right now. But Curtis Blaydes made in his last fight 90 grand to show, 90 grand to win, and a 10 grand fight week incentive pay from Reebok. It's 190 grand. You know what I mean? He's making good money. He's making some big ones. And this next fight is going to get him 95 for 95. That's the current contract he's on, and he might get 100 for 100 against Jairzinho Rosenstruik. Like, take the money against good matchups, in my opinion. Keep fighting, keep getting better, because I think if Curtis Blaydes plays his career correctly, he could rule this heavyweight division. Someone asked me in my stream the other day, who do you think is going to be the next heavyweight champion after Stipe and Ngannou are gone and this older generation of guys have slipped through the cracks of heavyweight and now there's a new generation coming up? Who do you think is going to be champion? Tom Aspinall? They also said Greg Hardy in the mix, and they said one other name. I can't really remember who it was. I know exactly who it was. Alexander Romanov. Like, I'm talking about all these waving, up-and-coming guys in the heavyweight division right now that seem very skilled. And Cyril Gane was another name that came up. And I'm sitting here thinking, what about Curtis Blaydes? I reckon he could run the division. He keeps getting better. He's a young guy for the heavyweight division anyway, not for any other division, but for the heavyweight division, he's a young guy. Hasn't really taken too much damage. He's on a roll right now. He's at a good gym. He trains with Alistair Overeem on a daily, so you know he's doing good stuff. Getting good training with one of the heavyweight goats. Blaydes is going to run the division. Looking forward to it. I'll see how this one goes. I think Derrick Lewis loses, though, by TKO. And if Lewis loses, Lewis gets paid a lot of money. Show up against someone else. That's just... I don't think Lewis needs a title at this point. I don't think he needs the top competition. Like, he could do, but I just feel like he's getting paid good money. He likes it. Keep fighting. I'll go with Curtis Blaydes. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Goodbye. See you later.